Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Eric Johansson, a teacher with LSAT Demon. Joining me is Nathan Fox, co-founder of LSATdemon.com and the weekly podcast Thinking LSAT. We have an email from Alex.
Alex says, "Hey, Nathan and Eric, really appreciate the information you supply on this podcast. The Demon brought me from a 162 diagnostic to the 175 to 180 range in 2 months, so I cannot sing your praises enough. My first question is tangentially related to score variation. After having a couple of practice tests in a row where I scored 168, I really started to panic. While I have seen some high 170 scores since then, I'm going into the test accepting this variance. How many tests do you recommend signing up for in advance? Right now, I'm registered for August and September, but since the deadline for October sign up is before August scores are released, I'm concerned about whether this is enough. Should I be signing up for all tests in advance until I receive the score I want and can cancel the rest? Really don't want to eat all of those registration fees if possible. My second question is related to admissions. From your experience, do you have a list of schools in the T14 that are considered, quote, splitter friendly? Friendly in this case, meaning generous with scholarship money. I want to make sure I'm blanketing the right schools, and the information on Reddit is all over the place. Best, Alex.
First question about signups. I would just go ahead and sign up for everything that you can. Well, not everything you can. If the October deadline is upon you, but you're ready to take the test, you're planning on August and September, I would go ahead and sign up for it.
They did in some previous administrations when there were overlaps like this. They said, hey, tell you what, if you're registered, in this case, I don't know that they're going to do it, but it would be in other cases, they will announce, hey, actually, October sign up is before August scores are released. So if you sign up for October and you have an August score, we will allow you to get a full refund withdrawing from October if you liked your August score. If they're doing that, then great. If not, then I guess you have to eat the $200. But you definitely don't have to register for November, December tests in 2025 or anything like that. And I think you could get a lot of calm. It might take some of the anxiety out and help you to embrace the variance. In this case, if you sign up for August, September, and October, and just plan on taking all three, if you knock it out of the park on August or September, then you withdraw from October. Maybe you don't get any refund at all, but you've knocked it out of the park on August or September, which should make that pill a lot easier to swallow. If not, then you're signed up for October and you're ready to take it. And at that point, you should probably be thinking about, okay, when do I have to sign up for November or December, and keeping an eye on that registration deadline. Anything more about registering for the LSAT? I love it that Alex is embracing this variance. Do not panic about scoring a 168 after scoring in the 175, 180 range. All those scores are within your range. That's fine. Thoroughly review all of your mistakes. Don't worry about the variance. Law schools are only going to count your highest score, so the variance is actually your friend. And having a back.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if LSAC announces this thing where you can get a refund after
Won't be surprised if they do. Won't be surprised if they don't.
Yeah.
Because they've done it in the past, but they said pretty clearly that this applies to this test only. And if they decide to be generous and do it again, I won't be shocked. If they just don't mention it, I also won't be shocked.
Yeah. What do we think about this second question? T14 schools that are splitter friendly, or do we have any way of knowing?
I would just send Alex to the scholarship estimator. I'd go to lsatdemon.com/scholarships. I don't think we have any special information about splitters. I do know, though, that the scholarship estimator tends to spit out pretty reasonable estimates in most cases. There are some exceptions, though, which is why we always encourage people to apply broadly. I think one of the safest things that you can do, Alex, is to just apply very broadly. Like Why not blanket the top 14? You'll have to do a little bit of extra work to write some additional optional essays. You'll maybe pay some money in LSAC report fees. Hopefully, you can get most of the application fees waived if you just
Hmm.
ask. Most schools will waive their application fee, especially if you've got a 175 or higher on your record.
Yeah.
Um,
The one other thing that comes to mind is if you wanted to go to lsd.law and look at the
sure.
admissions graphs there, you can see how some of the schools have the much more stark
Hmm.
angle to their admissions graphs, where you, if you're above the GPA median, you get in, and if you're above the LSAT median, you get in, and you can really see those sharp lines. Now, that's for admissions. Does that track to scholarships? It might, but maybe not. So that's the
Yeah.
one other thing. I would also just say schools are going to change their strategies and their policies year by year.
Oh,
So what was
absolutely.
true last year isn't necessarily
Yeah, and I
going to be
have
true this year.
seen, I forget what this was in notes or some kind of a commentary at one of the meetings that people were talking about, hey, maybe the 509s should report um 3-year trailing data instead of just 1-year trailing data. And I could
Yeah.
see that being very useful, especially for scholarships, because the estimator is always going to use last year's numbers. But maybe we should be trying to figure out a way to look at a blended, a weighted average, or like last year counts for 50%, the year before that counts for 30%, year before that counts for 20% or something might be a more sensible way of doing it, because they do tweak, they're adjusting those dials up and down, right? They give lots of scholarships if they think they need to bump their ranking up.
Hmm.
They give fewer scholarships if they are going to be more motivated by profit this year.
Yeah. And also, they will become more or less splitter friendly depending on what point in the cycle you apply. Like, they're going to be maybe willing to roll the dice on a splitter at the beginning of the year more than others. But then on the other hand, other schools might reach the end of the cycle and realize, oh crap, we're below our numbers on this side. So we need to. So it's always going to be kind of fluid. I think, as always, the advice is just, hey, apply
Well,
broadly.
and there's always a benefit to applying early. There's just not a
Yeah.
benefit to applying late. There was that study
Yeah.
recently from, do you remember who did that study that we talked about?
I think it was from, oh crap, that wasn't the Georgetown one.
That does ring a bell. We saw a study from somewhere or other that was talking about the detriments of applying late, and it was a lot. It was like a point or two of LSAT per month or something like that. I mean, it was like pretty
Trying to look it up
bad.
now.
Yeah, it's bad not only for admissions, but it's also bad for scholarships. So we would encourage you to apply as early as possible in the cycle. And if that means you have to wait another cycle, like Alex, if you end up taking it in October and maybe beyond that, I would definitely be encouraging you to hold your applications and apply at the beginning of the next cycle so that you can get the full benefit of that feeding frenzy at the very beginning of the cycle.
Yeah. The study that we talked about, we featured in Thinking LSAT episode 458, The Cost of Applying Late. It came from the University of Chicago Journal of Law and Economics. And the
Probably
numbers
pretty
they
legit.
give, they said an application delay of 100 days is associated with a drop in the probability of admission of around 8.5 percentage points, a
Wow.
disadvantage comparable to lowering the applicant's undergraduate GPA by 0.26 or
Wow.
LSAT score by 2.1
Oh
points.
my God. So a
So,
quarter of a point of GPA or
or
2.1
two
LSAT points for
if you wait
applying
100
100
days.
days later.
Yep.
Yeah. So apply in the fall
Yeah.
for next fall admission. And again, apply broadly because you don't know how things are going to change in the next cycle. And, schools that didn't give scholarships last cycle might give scholarships this cycle. Schools that did give scholarships last cycle might not give scholarships this cycle. They're always changing, always trying to play the game against all these competitors. It's like one of the games that you practice in MBA school, simulation, where it's you and a small team competing against other teams with like, okay, what's your price going to be in quarter one? Okay, what's your price going to be in quarter two? How many units are you going to produce? What's the price going to be? And you don't, you're just sort of like trying to predict what the other players in the market are going to do. And you're making little tweaks and stuff. That's what they're doing year by year, competing against 180 other
Yeah.
ABA accredited law schools.
Admissions war games.
Yeah, for
Sounds
sure.
so gross.
For sure. Yeah. But it's not gross if you just apply broadly. If you apply broadly, then
Yeah.
you're just the beneficiary of that because some school is going to make a bid for you. And you're going to be like, oh, nice. That's a very generous offer. Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Alex. And I will say, congratulations on going from 162 diagnostic all the way up into 175, 180 range in 2 months of using the demon. Not everybody's going to improve that much that fast, but 162 is a great diagnostic. And if people start that high, it's like, oh, come on in, because I know you're going to get to the 170s and it's probably not going to take you very long.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Alex. You could take the August LSAT and score 167. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But you could also score 177, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. And again, law schools are only going to care about your highest score. So take it in August, plan on taking it in September and October. As soon as you hit that first home run, you can just drop the bat and be done with it.
Yep. Nice, Alex. Thanks for writing in. Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.